Hey everyone, welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings in Macomb. It's the Charlie Fisher Show. We're here every Monday, 6 to 6:30. Our show is presented by the Brown Shoe Fit Company here in Macomb. Special thanks to those watching on Periscope and UTV. So we've got a great crowd again here today. Thanks to all those for coming. And we've got Scott Kornberg and Charlie Fisher. We'll take your questions as well on Twitter at Scott Kornberg if you've got any, Kornberg. And for Coach Fisher, or for our special guest this week, who you talked up quite a bit in the past, James Torgerson, who will join us a couple weeks ago, offensive lineman of the week in the conference. Obviously, Coach Fisher, this is a very different Monday feeling than we've had in the past. Your team 5-1, and you played, I think, even though they were number 4 in the country, many would argue North Dakota State is still the best team in the FCS, and you played them to a draw. If anything, I mean, it might have favored Western Illinois in that game on Saturday. You just left a lot of points on the board. Are there losses that are more difficult to take over other ones? For example, North Dakota State, when it was so close, the game could have swung the other way, versus South Dakota State when the Jackrabbits really had control of that game fairly early?
Yeah, they're all hard to take. I mean, obviously you go into every game with the expectation you're going to win. And, felt good about our game plan. I felt really good about our ability to win the game. I mean, I always do. I trust our guys. I know they're going to be ready to play. And, we had to overcome not playing as well in the first half as I'd hoped. And we didn't end the first half on an uptick, so to speak, with the 2 long drives and the blocked field goal. But, I had a great feeling about our guys at halftime. They great resilience in the locker room. We'd been behind before, and we came out and played that way in the second half. As I said all week, you got to be able to go toe-to-toe with them, and you got to be able to match their physicality or exceed it. And we did that in the second half and played really good football and had a great chance to win. You got to execute in some key situations, and we just didn't get that done.
Yeah, North Dakota State didn't score in the second half. The first time they had been shut out in any half in 16 games, dating back to last season against South Dakota. That first half was interesting. I want to ask you a couple of questions about that. You held the ball for 2/3 of the first quarter, that 9.5-minute drive that resulted in a Nathan Knuppman field goal. And the first half time of possession discrepancy was gigantic, which I think is what you're rooting for with the Bison. They've been outclocked in just 2 of their previous 37 games. And in those 2 games, they lost both of them. So you had them kind of right where you wanted them in that department, but not on the scoreboard. Offensively, I mean, you had these long drives. You were moving the football. What happened when you got into the 30, 25, 20-yard line range in that first half where you just couldn't cash in?
Well, the blueprint was there to beat them, the way you would draw it up. Control the ball, effective enough running the ball, make some passing plays, some chunk plays, which we did, and play really good defense. And they turned it over to us twice in the red zone. Obviously, the roughing the passer, or the personal foul after the intercept hurt. It took us back. But, in the red zone against a good defensive team, which they are, they're active, and they got size, they got length. It always gets harder as the field gets constricted. We probably had a couple shots there. They're small windows, and we didn't connect or just didn't get it cut loose at the right time. And, it's just the way it is in the red zone. It happens fast, and you got to make those plays. Certainly it helps when you can run the ball. We had some effective runs, but probably not quite enough in the red zone. So you have to tip your hat. They have something to do with that. They're a good red zone team. They're very good against the pass in the red zone. So we didn't make it happen when we had to.
You mentioned your game plan, and you had faced these guys last year when you were at Richmond. How much did you learn about playing North Dakota State from that game versus what you'd watch on film leading into Saturday's contest?
Well, they don't change a whole lot. They play everybody pretty much the same in many ways. They're not going to beat themselves. They pick their spots to blitz you. They're long, and they can rush the passer on the edge. And we didn't run the ball effectively against them last year at Richmond. We ran it a little bit more effectively because we ran the quarterback more, probably. Our quarterback last year at Richmond was hurt going into that game, so we really couldn't run him at all. But Sean had some key runs, but we were able to make some chunk yardage passes. And, the turnovers all came at the end of the game, so I don't know that they were really in effect other than, obviously, the turnover going in at the goal line. The last 2 intercepts were, basically in more of a desperation mode, having to make a play, and one ended up being like a punt, so to speak.
It's interesting. Every week we sit up here and we talk, and you mentioned how important the running game is. And we talked last week on our pregame show just before the game, and I asked you, North Dakota State's got a great rush defense. They're 10th in the country And there was a 3-game stretch where they allowed a total of 101 rushing yards, which is insane. And one of those 3 games was against Iowa. So a Big Ten team that put up 33 rushing yards. You immediately answered that question with saying, well, Taron Christian for South Dakota State, their quarterback, ran for 141 yards. And I think we saw an abnormal, compared to the season, of Sean McGuire running the football. He had 14 carries. Nobody else had more than 7 running the football. How much of that was read option? How much of that was by design? How much of that was just Sean kind of taking matters into his own hands when he wasn't able to find anyone down the field?
Yeah, a couple of those were scrambles, but most of them were designed. You know, we're not really a read option team, more of a power, quarterback power team and quarterback draw team as opposed to a little bit of read option, but most of it is not in the read phase for us. But we definitely had designs to run Sean. It was obvious that South Dakota State ran their quarterback very well. It's another way to just limit the box, so to speak, and gain an extra blocker in the box. So our design was to run him. You know, would we liked it to work out quite that much? Probably not. But they did a good job, and they've done a good job against, 1-back or 2-back runs. We knew that. They haven't been giving up much running. But if you can peck away and get 100 yards on them, that's pretty good. And we really got over 100 outside of 2 sacks. So I think we ended up with 86 or 88, somewhere in that range.
106 games. So.
Right. So I wasn't really disappointed with how we ran the ball to get 88, 90, 100 yards. I felt like that was a good benchmark. Now if we could make some throws, which we did, and we probably left a couple throws out there that we had. Either protection broke down or we just had to get rid of the ball a little bit quick. But we had some people running open through seams in their zones.
Certainly saw that one connection with Joey Borsellino in the second half. That second half, you kind of mentioned that you felt that you played them much, much better in the second half. Going into halftime, it's 21-6. Coming out, you get a really nice drive to start the second half, and it ends up with this Jamie Gilmore 4-yard touchdown run. First and goal from the 4 on the right hash. Handoff, Jamie Gilmore up the middle, wide open range, and he sprints in for the touchdown. Western Illinois responding here in the third quarter. Gilmore from 4 yards out, and the Leathernecks within 21-12 with 8:56 remaining in the third. So what changed? Jamie Gilmore, obviously, again, another strong game for him in his backup running back role. But what changed first half versus second half that allowed you guys to come out, really kind of punch North Dakota State in the mouth and make things really interesting at the end of the game?
I think we had a really good halftime. I mean, not many adjustments had to be made. We just need to play better. I think our guys felt like we could play a lot better. We could go toe-to-toe with these guys. We just needed to do it. And we came out. We got a good stop on defense pretty early. I think they shanked a punt there, gave us a little bit of momentum, kind of brought the ball out a little bit. And we hit the first big pass. We hit a shot play right off the bat to Joe for 30 yards. So that always, you could just tell our team was starting to come alive there. And boom, we hit 3 runs to Demo, and Sean makes a great run on the 18-yard design quarterback run down to like the 4. So it was bang, 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 and you could just see momentum starting to shift in a hurry.
And then right after that, I think just 2 plays after that, you get an interception from Darren Wheeler, his first career pick. 3rd and 22 from the 13 in the right hash. Stick in the shotgun. 3 receivers to the left, all bunched up. Barks the signals, back to throw, steps up, has all day, throwing deep left, picked off. Darren Wheeler racing up the right sideline, cuts it back in at the 10, diving to the 5, flag down in the backfield, but Wheeler, his first career interception, and if the play stands, a 1st and goal for Western Illinois with 8:06 to play in the third, down by 8. So it's 21-13, and obviously the play sort of stood where you had that personal foul at the end, backs you up to the 19-yard line. Darren Wheeler is a guy who's a true freshman. We have not talked about him at all this year, but as the games go by, he plays a bigger and bigger role. He's a starter now. We have James Torgerson, a guy who's been in the program a few years, is much different to kind of mold. A true freshman, though, very, very different. How do you make sure these guys are ready to play and have the kind of development that he has had in his freshman year?
So much of a freshman playing early is just their mental makeup. If they can not only learn what you're doing defensively, but to play at the next level, just have that. What Darren's got, he's got a tremendous amount of moxie. And, he had a hard game against Missouri State. They picked on him and had a couple tough plays. They got behind him. And he showed a lot of resilience, a lot of resolve, which you better have at corner. And, I had him in my office earlier in the week. We talked about that. Say, listen, put it behind you. Just keep going, because this guy's going to be really good. He already is good, but he's got the special quality that the guys at defensive back have to have. He's got a moxie. He's got a belief in himself. And when you look at that intercept, man, he attacked the ball. He didn't wait. He went and attacked it. It's a great play. It's unfortunate that it didn't work out to where we had the ball in the 4. Kind of a tough call. They'll protect the quarterback a lot more now than they ever used to. And, it was a tough call. The 15-yard penalty was huge there to take us from the 4-yard line to the 19. And arguably that was probably our worst response in the red zone. We just didn't respond and get points there, and that really hurt.
That fourth down, also later in the game, sort of a very similar situation to Missouri State at the end of the game, where you ran Devin Moore up the middle. Sean McGuire had that quarterback sneak. Did you feel he got low enough there? And that's what.
No, not the way you would want to. I mean, in the first one, we felt like we had an open B gap. He kind of bobbled the snap. They jumped, and that probably had something to do with it. And, second time felt like we could have got under. Sean was trying to make a play. I mean, that's about as close as the ball could be to the goal line as I've seen in 36 years. I don't know. I mean, it looked like 6 inches. And, the play that probably, is overlooked to some degree is the play before, the throw to Lance Lenoir, which was a design play, and it couldn't have worked out any better. And he 9 times out of 10 he's going to score there. I mean, he's got momentum going in the end zone, and how you have to credit MJ Stump for the play he made, because you don't see that play every day in college football. You just don't. It was like Elway when he got hit. Only thing, he helicoptered into the end zone. Lance got spun around with the ball backwards. I mean, it's almost unheard of with Lance's momentum, the hit that he put on, and I'm sure Torgey can talk about it. He was right out there by it. It was a big collision, and, to keep Lance out of the end zone there was an unbelievable effort on his part. And then you have the ball sitting there in the inch line, and then, they have the offsides. I don't know how far it was, but it certainly didn't look like more than 2 or 3 inches. So you figure, don't take the ball off the line, because we'd done that 2 plays earlier, and they'd gotten the backfield and had a tackle for loss. So I felt very comfortable with what we did. Doug was comfortable with the call. And, at the end of the day, you tried to jump over. Did he break the plane? Maybe. But you don't have great replay. In FCS, it's not quite probably as clean as it could be. And so we didn't get the call, and you got to live with it. And unfortunately, we also turned the ball over there. So at the worst, if you don't get it, they got the ball in the inch line, having to come out, and you still have a chance for field position to get another crack, which we did later in the game. But obviously, we had to drive the ball 80 yards instead of maybe 40 or 50.
Nonetheless, still a very, very good game and a tremendous effort. Western Illinois, though, falling 21-13, 5-2. After a game like that, where you felt you played them really, really well, and you know how emotional it's going to be for a lot of your players next Saturday going up to South Dakota, a team that's actually up to a tremendous start in the conference. They're ranked now. They're no longer kind of hanging below the water there. What's the message this week to these guys? Well,
we got to get back on our feet and get ready to go. They're all going to be emotional. I mean, for our players, that everybody would have a different motivation in this game, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, though, emotion is one thing. Playing good football is the other thing. You got to tie the two together, where it can't be emotion overrides preparation and getting ready to play and playing well. So we got to balance that. We got to find that balance, which I have no doubt our team's going to be ready. James can speak to that. This team's been ready to answer the bell every week. And I trust my team. We got veteran players. There's everybody in the room knows what's at stake every week from here on out. This is just the next step on the journey to be 1-0 for the week. But we got to respond. We got to play good. We got to play emotional. Football's an emotional game, but you got to find the balance with the emotion, the preparation, and the execution.
Well, it'll be really interesting to hear from James in just a couple moments. We'll take a break. When we come back, James Torgerson is going to join us. This is the Charlie Fisher Show, presented by the Brown Shoe Fit Company.
Western, my professors challenged me academically. Their support motivated me to go to law school. Athletics, student government, and my internship provided me with practical skills for my legal career. I chose Western for the learning and leadership opportunities. I know my choice was the beginning of my success story. Think purple, think success, think Western Illinois University.
Hannah Murphy's master's degree from Western Illinois University is literally worldwide.
The valuable skills I gained at Western prepared me for a cross-cultural career in Ethiopia and beyond.
Hannah's WIU experiences have helped her grow into an outstanding education professional.
Western set the foundation for my around-the-world adventure.
Think purple, think global success, think Western Illinois University.
Welcome back to the Charlie Fisher Show here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Macomb. Thank you so much, Joel, for coming out. We've got some prizes in our last segment, but first, this show presented by our friends at the Brown Shoe Fit Company. And James Torgerson is joining us, offensive lineman, right tackle for Western Illinois. Thanks so much for coming out. We appreciate it. You're the Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Lineman of the Week last week. I know the question for you guys a lot this week, and let's get this out of the way. You played under Bob Nielsen for a couple of years. What are your emotions? What's the team emotions coming in to Saturday's game against South Dakota?
I think I can speak for the whole team when saying we're excited. We've had this game circled in our schedule since Coach Nielsen left, and this is probably the game we want to win more than any other this year. Obviously, we want to win every game, but this one will be extra special if we go and get it done.
Little extra, I don't want to say revenge there, but it means a little bit more. Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Lineman of the Week is a really, really cool thing because for every other position we've got stats. You're obviously protecting the quarterback. You can judge a quarterback by passing yards and touchdowns and completion percentage. And the running backs, how many yards a carry, what are their touchdowns. Nobody knows how to really grade offensive linemen except for your coaches on the staff. Mm-hmm. What goes into your grade every single week? When you go look at film and your coaches come back and they grade you, what are they grading you on?
Main thing is assignments. As long as you block your assignment right every play, you're not going to get a negative point. Not giving up sacks, not giving up tackle for losses, and just doing your job every play is what gets you a high grade. It's all about mental errors, and you have to play physical every play to not get beat by the D linemen we have in our conference. But it's all about just playing mentally smart and just playing fast and physical, and that will get to a high grade of just being really mentally locked in the whole game and just doing your assignment correctly every play.
So what's a good grade for an offensive lineman every week?
Anything in the 90 and up is a really good grade. It means you played really well, most likely. So 90% of your blocks, 90% of your plays and up is what you strive for. You obviously want them every single play you want to do right. You do the right thing, but that's not possible. We go against some really extremely good players in this conference. So.
It's interesting. We talk to defensive linemen, and they'll tell us they could read sometimes run versus pass, judging an offensive lineman's stance. Obviously, you're trying to avoid them knowing if it's going to be a run or a pass. Do you do anything to maybe tip them off on something that it's not supposed to be or hide something in your stance, maybe to try to make sure that the defensive end, or if you're crashing in a defensive tackle, doesn't know a play is coming?
To be honest, no, not really. I don't, at least. Most defenses know when it's a run or a pass down. Like, if it's 3rd and 2, they know we're running the ball no matter what. If it's 3rd and 9, they know we're probably going to throw the ball. Maybe 1st down, you're not going to try to give it away. But you try to have a balanced stance every time you get up there so they don't get any keys. Just try not to give anything away too much. Don't lean in your stance because then they can tell if you're pulling or trying to kick them out. But most of the time, as long as you're just in a balanced stance every single time, and you'll be okay. They won't be able to pick up anything on you.
Plus, when you're as big as you are, I'm sure it makes things pretty difficult. James Torgerson is joining us right now. You have a really interesting story because most guys, like your teammate Matt Zobrist, who you play right next to, started outside, right tackle to right guard, and obviously came inside to that right guard position. You started inside and went outside, right guard to right tackle. What was that transition like? I mean, was it surprising at all to you that you heard the news, I'm going to be on the outside now as a tackle?
No, I wasn't too surprised. My redshirt freshman year actually started the last 6 games at left tackle. So this is now my 4th different position I've started a game at. I've started both guards and now both tackles. But it wasn't that surprising. Coach Howell, our offensive line coach, told me back in the spring that they were thinking about moving me out there, and then we had a guy transfer out. So that made me bump out to tackle. And I wasn't too surprised. It took me a few weeks to get comfortable back at it again because it's a different world out on the edge. The guys in pass pro are way quicker, but maybe the DNs aren't quite as physical. So you got to play differently, and you just got to make the adjustment. It wasn't too bad because I've done it before, but it was definitely tough at first.
What is that adjustment?
Just trying to play quicker, especially at the ends. You gotta know how to use space better because you have a lot more space in pass pro. You got to play faster, and you can't you try maybe not to play as physical because when you're playing a guard, you're just trying to really come off the ball real hard in a tackle. You got quicker guys. You just got to be better with your eyes, better with your feet, better with your hands, and that's basically it. It wasn't too bad of a transition, but there was some things that needed to change.
You changed your position, obviously. The scheme also changed from more of a spread offense to, this is a power offense, really, in nearly every single way. What changes offensive line-wise, spread, if anything, versus power?
There wasn't as big as a change as a lot of people think. It's been a lot harder, I think, on our skill players than the O-line. Because no matter what scheme you run in offense, you're basically going to be blocking the same guys, making the same combos. But I just learning the new terminology was hard at first. Harder for some guys to pick up than others, but it wasn't as big as a transition. We're not throwing the ball as much, even though we still do air it out quite a bit. And our technique has been taught the same. A few things are different, but the majority of things we do on the offensive line are the same at almost every play or every place. Because you have to block the same way to block an end, no matter what offense you have. So.
James Torgerson joining us, economics major. You do not see that a lot from football players. It's a really rigorous field. Mm-hmm. Why economics? What do you want to go into once you graduate?
I chose economics as a freshman because, it's something that really interested me. And actually, since then, I've picked up another major. I'm also a finance major. I'm a double major. I want to go into the financial field, like investments, investment banking, something like that with money. And, just something that's always really interested me. Just the study of how our economy works because it's such a big thing. A lot of people, it's really something you need to know about, and it's something that I've always found fascinating. Just the markets and just how things operate, and it's just something that I've always liked, and that's why I chose it.
Last question for you, also sort of away from the football field. You grew up a St. Louis Rams fan, from what I read. Has that changed at all with them now in L.A.?
Yeah. I'm no longer a Rams fan. Actually, there's a pretty funny story about that. I call myself a Bears fan now because when the Rams moved, I just decided to get on Twitter and tweet at NFL teams. And I tweeted at the Bears. I was like, hey, I'm a former Rams fan here. I need a new team. And the Bears Twitter account actually responded to me. And so, they told me that, you can be a Bears fan. So I became a Bears fan. But I don't really root for them that hard because they're terrible. So
hopefully on the way up very, very soon. James Torgerson, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Charlie Fisher will join us next. We'll take any questions we have from the audience as well. This is the Charlie Fisher Show.
Garrett Covington chose Western Illinois University because of the law enforcement program and the chance to be a Leatherneck.
Western has one of the best law enforcement programs in the nation, and I get to play the game I love. Whether I go pro or I go to law school, because of Western, I would take my success to another level. I am a success story. I am a Leatherneck.
Think purple, think success. Think Western Illinois University.
Music has always been my thing. I not only get to play it, but I also have opportunities to learn from award-winning guest musicians. My professors offer me the personal attention I was looking for in a music program and challenge me to reach my fullest potential. I know my experience at Western is just the beginning of my success story. Think purple, think success, think Western Illinois University.
Carissa Kuchis loves Western Illinois University.
Western lets you be who you want to be. The opportunities are unlimited, and people here really care.
Carissa has definitely made the most of her time at Western.
Advertising executive, life coach, talk show host. I'll do it all because I'm a success story. I am a Leatherneck.
Think purple, think success. Think Western Illinois University.
This is the Charlie Fisher Show, presented by our friends in Macomb at the Brown Shoe Fit Company. We're going to auction some stuff off for a great crowd again here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Macomb. We can't, not talk baseball today. The World Series starts tomorrow. I know you're a big Giants fan. What do you think?
Yep.
Indians versus the Cubs. What are your thoughts here?
Great series. Great for baseball. Two teams. It's been 200 years since either one of those has won the World Series, I think, right? Close to it.
Yeah.
It seems that way anyhow. But anyhow.
200 is light.
Right. It's good for baseball. I love it. I've got a couple buddies that are huge Cleveland fans. They're big Tribe fans. I'm amongst a bunch of Cub fans here. So it's good. It's all good. I love baseball. October baseball doesn't get any better.
You are a guy who really has a great grasp of history, I think, even in baseball. And I think one of the coolest things about this World Series, whether you root for the Indians or the Cubs, is that when Dexter Fowler leads off Game 1 tomorrow, he's going to be the first ever black man to play in the World Series for the Chicago Cubs. Which you think about how long that franchise has been in existence. Wow. 1870s. They've never had a black man play in the World Series. I think, to me, that is the coolest thing that's going to come out of this World Series.
That's awesome. That's a factoid right there. I wouldn't have known that one. When I was a kid, I had a Rocky Colavito card, baseball card. That's going way back in the Tribe history. They've had some great players playing Cleveland and Chicago, obviously. So it'll be exciting. I love it. I don't get a chance to see much of it when the Giants are in it. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm back up at 5:30. It makes for a lot of tough nights, but it's worth it.
You can follow along at the very least. And the Indians, of course, have a great history with bringing in African Americans and Larry Doby and whatnot.
Yep.
Last question for you before we raffle some stuff off for our audience. Penn State got a really big win over Ohio State. You had some history there. Mm-hmm. Does that mean anything to you at all?
It does. It does. I got a text from my youngest son, who's still manager there at Penn State. He was with me when I was there. It was one of the really cool things for me in my coaching career was to be on the field and with your son there. And that was really neat every day going out there. And, he's busy doing all his managerial stuff. So sometimes I'd even forget he was out there, because he'd be so busy. But so really happy for so many of the kids there. There's still a number of them there that either I helped recruit or came on the team while I was there. And, and there's nothing. I say this all the time. Put this on your bucket list, a whiteout game at Penn State. That is a must-see sporting event. So it was great, and obviously I'm a Pennsylvania guy, Penn State guy. The rivalry, Ohio State, Penn State. Unfortunately, I wasn't part of a win there in my 2 years there, but it was great to see my son be part of a win and a lot of the guys that were there when I was there.
Congratulations. I actually have been to a whiteout Penn State game, New Jersey guy here.
Yep.
So they're awesome. A lot of great atmosphere there. Great atmosphere here tonight, and for our fans, we're going to raffle off, what do we have, T-shirts?
Yeah, we got something here. What's Pat bringing up? We got a free meal here, I believe.
All right. Do the honors, Coach.
Well, we'll find out what we can get here. See what we got here.
Again, we're here every Monday, 6 to 6:30. We've had great crowds.
Pull one out here. Got to get one here. Here it is. Drew Taylor. Free meal.
All right, Drew.
All right, Drew. Got another one here? We're doing two, right? Absolutely. We'll do two. Jeff Mabry. Jeff Mabry. He's a winner again. Jeff, you won before, hadn't you? That's awesome. He's hot. He's a Cub fan.
Maybe that's a sign. Thanks to Drew. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to you guys all for coming out. We really appreciate it. It's been great this season. Thanks to our listeners and our viewers on UTV and Periscope and whatnot. We really appreciate it. We're here every Monday, 6 to 6:30. Leathernecks go to South Dakota this week. 2 o'clock kickoff coverage begins on the Leatherneck Sports Network at 1:30. we'll see you there, Coach Fisher. Thank you very much.
We'll be there.
Western Illinois, South Dakota, big one on Saturday. This has been the Charlie Fisher Show. For Charlie Fisher, I'm Scott Kornberg. Good night, everybody.